The greatest supervillain of them all. Sportsmaster. No, I ain't pulling your chain, that's an actual supervillain. I mean, in all seriousness, who actually thought this was a good idea for a character? Surely they could have maybe come up with something a little bit more inventive, instead of just sitting there and pointing at a football and saying, that is the perfect inspiration for an entirely new character in our comic series. But here we are. Hello! Welcome to Brain Spill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and if you think about a character like Sportsmaster, on first look, he seems like a pretty ridiculous character. But if you try and put him in a real-world context and think about some of the things he can do, he's actually quite a dangerous foe. Let me explain. Sportsmaster is a supervillain created for DC Comics and first appeared in a series called All American Comics issue 85 in May 1947. He was created by writer John Broome and artist Erwin Hassan. Although he has appeared in various forms throughout different DC publications and storylines, he first appeared in this particular comic as Lawrence Kroc, a supervillain who would use sports-themed weapons and gadgets to commit crimes. So, how did this sports athlete turn to a life of crime? Well, he was actually originally, as you might have guessed, a very well-talented sports person. Lawrence Kroc, otherwise known as Crusher Kroc, was an avid sports fan and was also very athletic himself, meaning that he was already in a position where he could hit stuff hard, I guess. As a matter of fact, he was able to hit people so hard that when he was playing a game of football, he intentionally crippled another player in the middle of the game, which landed him in hot water. As a result, he was banned from playing any sport on a professional level. Well, I mean, he kinda deserved it for someone that loves sports that much. Wasn't very sportsmanlike, was it? Instead of, perhaps making up for his wrongdoings or not doing anything else crime-related, he turned to a life of crime and punched the coach who had got him banned from play, ending his promising career. So what does he do in his new life of crime? Well, he dons the get-up wearing the appropriate sportswear and wearing a black piece of cloth for a mask to cover his identity, I guess. And, well, that was kind of his gig. He would turn up with his band of scoundrels to try and mess up sports events, when, of course, the one and only hero that we've all been waiting for, the Green Lantern, would come and save the day. Not this guy. Even though his tools are sports-themed, he actually uses quite an advanced arsenal, including exploding baseballs, lacrosse nets that acted as actual nets, the works. But no, that isn't the extent of everything he did. As a matter of fact, in the same comic, he even disguised himself as a toy seller and then blew up the city bank. The guy that got banned from sports forever thought that this would be a swell idea, especially when the Green Lantern was about. He then decides to blackmail the Green Lantern to come to his estate where an epic fight ensues using swords, which he would seemingly fall to his death after a wooden railing fails to support his weight, ending his relatively short run as a villain. Well, that's that then. The end of Sportsmaster. The first iteration of Sportsmaster, that is. As a matter of fact, he's not actually called Sportsmaster in this issue, but would reprise his role on his return in the Green Lantern number 28 in October 1947. In this issue, he would return to the fray by stealing a valuable pearl necklace, to then try and steal a nondescript, generic sports trophy, swooping down on skis while being pulled by a plane. I mean, come to think of it, he's almost like a crow. He'll swoop down from the skies and steal anything that's shiny. He should have been called the Crow rather than Sportsmaster. Thankfully, however, the Green Lantern is on hand to save the day. That is until he realises that this man, he's met him before. This is the same Crusher Kroc he fought before, but this time is Sportsmaster. And Sportsmaster even turns up with his goons who ride surfboards with guns. I mean, I don't really know why they need the surfboards, but, if you're serving Sportsmaster, you gotta do something sporty, I guess. The fight between Green Lantern and Sportsmaster comes to an end when a misthrown Olympic hammer bounces off the statue and hits Sportsmaster in the face, knocking him into the ocean. And at this point you might think, well, surely he's dead. He got knocked out, fell in the water and probably drowned. Well, as many comic characters do, they tend to seemingly come back when you think that they've met their end. You know what, come to think of it, maybe his superhero powers aren't quite him being proficient with sports and sports-themed equipment. Maybe it's the fact that he can just cheat death. I mean, this is 2 times now that he's seemingly died and manages to come back. Maybe he's just immortal, but after having faced off with the Green Lantern on 2 occasions, he always manages to fake his death and come back for another issue. All over again. As you might have gathered, the character Sportsmaster is quite gimmicky, basically just being themed on anything sports related they could find. However, if you try and put him in a real world context, not only is he incredibly fit by being very good at sports, but at the same time, if he comes swinging at you with a baseball bat, you're going to know about it. I mean, no one really needs superpowers to cause some damage doing that. As a character, he's made quite a few different appearances in the multiverse, but in other media, he has been a character in Justice League Unlimited, DC Legends and the Batman cartoon series The Brave and the Bold. He has even been in something a little bit more recent. You may have recognised the masked character in the Stargirl TV show. This is Sportsmaster. Member of the Injustice Society of America, he also has no powers in the show, but on the wiki his powers are athletics and hand-to-hand combat. Advanced hand-to-hand combat. Cricket bat to the balls. You don't need a superpower to make that one hurt. Looking at Sportsmaster further, I mean, aside from the fact that he always wields a tennis racket with him, he's also largely wearing protective equipment, and being incredibly athletic, he is certainly more prepared than your average Joe. So if you're going to compare him to anyone else, then I think you need to not underestimate Sportsmaster. So, on a scale of 1 to 10 from the least super to the most super, he's probably a good 1. Well, maybe a 1.2. But you can't underestimate someone like this because if he's made various appearances and can seemingly not die, then there's something going on there that we all need to be aware of. I mean, in theory, anyone could really turn up and be Sportsmaster if they dedicated themselves enough. All they needed was a bit of sports equipment, a bit of cloth to wrap around your face, and have some athletic ability, and you are there in the ranks of DC's most infamous supervillains. All I know is that I don't want to be stood face to face in a fight with Sportsmaster. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. If I was Sportsmaster, I think my weapon of choice would be a shot put. Have you seen how heavy those things are? I remember back in school, I used to be pretty good at the shot puts. The push and the weight behind it, I'm sure you could cause some serious damage, but who knows? Maybe I need to give it a try one day. We'll have to see. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.